Welcome to the Backpacking Podcast. As always, John Kelly here with Jeremiah Stringer, the king of Kentucky backpacking, and we are brought to you by Outdoor Vitals, makers of Performance First ultralight gear. Jeremiah, I can already tell you're wearing the ultralight performance t-shirt right now.
Yeah, I got just the basic tee, but you can't see the bottom half of me. As soon as we get off this recording, then I'm headed straight to the gym, man. It is summer break officially in the Stringer household. We talked about it last episode, and that means I wake up late and then go to the gym late. So we're rocking it. Bet you can't guess what I'm wearing to the gym. I got this t-shirt and then the Skyline joggers made by OutdoorVitals.com. So check them out. The joggers, I'm spending the first 30 minutes walking around the track today inside the air conditioning because the heat index is already in the 90s.
It is.
And then,
you're right.
They're vented in the crotch, so I don't have to worry about the crotch swamp is what I call it, and super comfy.
And nobody likes that. You know, it's funny. It's funny that you like the joggers. I actually work out every day in the the Skyline shorts.
Oh, I would work out in those today as well, but I haven't washed them yet. I wear them so often, man, that I got to wash them all the time. So that's why we're going with the joggers.
We got some comments already this morning. All things outdoors. What's up, fellas? Wait, so that's really tiny, isn't it? We need to make it so we can actually read that. There we go. What's up, fellas?
Hey, Jeremy, what's on?
Oh, my favorite name is on here, man. Suga canadensis is on here. Woot!
Joining us early.
Yeah. Rod Outdoors is on here. Good morning. Jacob Poucher, Stringer Yo, JK Yo.
Jacob.
Stoned Ape Adventures. Good morning, Yins. We've got to love our Pennsylvania friends. So we love our Yinsers. There's no doubt about that. So, Jeremiah, we started a conversation the other day, and we're finishing it today.
Yeah, happy 4th of July. If you are watching this on Spotify or iTunes, we got an early release if you're live here on YouTube, but the rest of the platforms, happy 4th of July episode coming out.
Yeah, and I'm all here. I'm all patriotic if you haven't noticed. I've got the red, the white, and the blue. So got to have your pasty white guy in the middle to finish out the colors. So we are definitely patriotic today. We are excited for what we're going to be talking about today. This is going to be fun. We had some hot takes the other day, and if you missed that episode, make sure you go back and listen to it because some of them are hilarious, and there's one in particular that neither one of us agreed with.
Does this have to do with urination?
It does. It does. The one that was the disgusting one, yes. So if you don't know what we're talking about, you definitely need to go back and listen to that episode. But Jeremiah, today we're going to continue for this article that we found on backpacker.com. Your most unhinged hiking takes made even our editors uncomfortable. And the two editors involved here are Adam Roy and Zoe Gates. And so let's go ahead and get into it right away. And I want your all's opinions too. If you are watching right now live, leave them in the comments because I want to know what your thoughts are on these different takes because honestly, there's something else. All right, are you ready for the first one, Jeremiah?
Yeah, hit me with it.
I think you can use your spoon as a poop hole digger only because it's just touching dirt.
Yeah, probably not a problem unless it touches someone else's dirt that's been there before you. Then it could turn into, dare I say, a biological disaster, if you will. Especially
like that.
What if you're one of those people that are doing the ultralight? So this would probably be this person, right? Because they don't want to bring the deuce of spades or whatever little spade. So they're
you know who they are, Jeremiah. They're the person that gets the free spoon from Garage Growing Gear and then drills holes into it.
Oh yeah, or cut their toothbrush. All those things.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Garage Growing Gear now, at least they have the last few times I've ordered. They send you this little toothbrush. It's only this big. It's already ultralight, but I bet you this guy drills holes into it.
You know, also speaking of the toothbrush, I do want to go back to the spoon here in just a second, but you can get those. Oh, good morning. We got a lot of people hopping on this morning. Yeah, it's a spontaneous morning live here. So welcome to the show.
Oh, we got our first
But
winner comment of the morning. We have
is
our
it
first,
the Happy
yeah.
Gilmore?
Well, the yeah. By the way, I am sporting the Happy Gilmore shirt today, but no, it's Rod Outdoors. He goes, I use my poop trowel as a spoon.
Almost spit my coffee. I almost spit my coffee.
That's
That's funny, man.
fantastic.
By the way, Adam Sandler, he hasn't went anywhere. He did release that wacky comedy special on Netflix. I don't know if you saw it, and now he's coming out with a new Happy Gilmore, and he's coming out with a new, I guess, comedy special because he's on tour. They sent me an email saying, "Hey, he's coming to Rupp Arena here in Kentucky, October."
Ooh,
Couldn't swing.
really? Should we
Yeah,
double
figured
date for that?
well, I'm already going to see another comedian, Tom Segura, soon.
Oh yeah,
And
he's good too.
yeah, the tickets are so expensive; it's hard to go to multiple.
I'm
But
excited about the new
anyway,
Happy Gilmore. I'm gonna be honest. I'm excited about the new Happy Gilmore. I love Adam Sandler movies. I make no bones about it. I think they're hilarious, and I'm really excited because one of my favorite pro wrestlers is playing a part of his son, and that's
which
MJF. Maxwell Jacob
MJ?
Friedman. Maxwell Jacob Friedman is going to be one of Adam Sandler's sons in this movie, and I cannot wait to see what he does. It's going to be fantastic.
Well, let me tell you what I was going to say about the toothbrush, then we'll go to the spoon. So the toothbrush, for those that don't know and they want to do the ultralight and keep that super short toothbrush, I'm not a fan of it. I like just a regular size toothbrush that I would use at home. I literally buy an extra one just to put in my hygiene kit to go backpacking. Same toothbrush. But if you want to go with the really small one, you can get one of the either like a baby toothbrush or a dog toothbrush, and they go on your finger. So it's like a little sleeve that's got the bristles on the end.
Just don't
Then
use it on your dog before you bring it backpacking.
no, don't borrow it from your dog. And then what I was going to say about the spoon is this person, if you're the person using a spoon instead of a trowel or a stick or your boot or whatever, I'm a trowel guy myself. You're probably an ultralighter because you don't want to bring that extra ounce or half ounce or however much it weighs, 2 ounces. So you probably are also not bringing soap. You may not even have hand sanitizer.
Yeah.
You're doing ultra light. So I bring powdered soap with me. So let's imagine that you have no soap, no hand sanitizer, and you accidentally dig up somebody else's poop with your eating utensil. Then what?
Woo, buddy.
That's a tough situation, bro. What do? Do you wait until you run across somebody and ask to borrow their soap, or do you just rinse it off, or do you boil it in water, try to get all the poop off you can, and then boil it in your cook pot? But then you've had boiled
Then you've
poop in
had
your cook.
in your cook pot. Yeah, it's not a win. There's no win there, man. There are
It's a
some
disaster.
things. There are some things that you don't even like. You just don't worry about it. Don't do that. But I would rather you just dig with your hands than use a spoon. Just to be perfectly honest, I'm not doing a spoon. I'm not that. Here's the thing. I don't like dirt in my food either. Okay, so
Yeah.
I mean, I'll just be honest. I'm not in for like grains of dirt like in my teeth. That just kind of sounds gross, and I don't want it. Plus,
You
here's
know,
the other thing. If you're doing that in an area where a lot of people have pooped, that means that waste is in the ground. It
yeah.
doesn't just sit where it is. It does spread. And so a good few storms and rain causes that stuff to spread through the soil. And guess what? You may be having somebody else's in your mouth. So, it's like, anyways. Jacob Poucher, hot take. Haven't carried a trowel in years. Stick or steak works fine.
Absolutely does.
Rod Outdoors, no lie. I forgot my spoon and used the Vargo Dig Dig. He's actually saying he really did that.
Well,
That wasn't a joke. He was dead serious.
if you're going to use your trowel to eat with that night, let's say you have to, which I probably would like cut a little stick or spoon or something and make chopsticks, or if you're having soup, drink it out of the cook pot or whatever you got to do, make you a spoon out of a stick or something. But let's say you're using your trowel. I clean my trowel every time I'm about to put it back up in my poop kit. Because here's what happens. You dig with your trowel, it's dirty, and I have my toilet paper, trowel, my little backcountry pocket bidet in there, some soap, some wipes, just a whole toiletries kit. If you put the spade back in there and it's still got some of that dirt residue where you've dug, then everything's just going to get sandy and dirty in there, including your toilet paper. So you got a few options. You can either keep your toilet paper separate, like in a little Ziploc or something. Or if you're me, I like to make sure everything's clean before I put it back in there. So the trowel,
You
do
weren't
you have?
always like that though, Jeremiah. You weren't
I've
always
grown.
like that. I want people to know. I've got video proof that you weren't always like that. Because the first time Jeremiah and I ever backpacked, there's video of the first time Jeremiah and I ever backpacked together,
True.
and we swapped gear. And when I pulled out his trowel, he said it was dirt all over the back end of it, but it did not look like dirt on the back of his trowel. And so
Got to
he's
do the
changed
smell
his ways,
test.
folks. Like I'm not saying people change, people grow. Jeremiah has changed and grown, but at one point his trowel was disgusting. I just want to point that out.
Dude, you got to look for the moss and leaves. That's the number one go-to for cleaning that trowel up. That moss is like your own little wash rag out in the backwoods, man. You run
Oh,
that through there, nice and clean.
AT girl just finished yesterday's video. First live chat I've ever made. Well, welcome to the show.
Welcome.
Oh, and then David Cooper's taking off. He says, "Gotta go. Going backpacking in the Great Basin National Park. Have a great stream. Awesome, man. Have a great trip. I'm jealous."
Enjoy.
We got a couple other comments up here real quick, and then we'll get to the next point here. Soap is a consumable and wouldn't count towards your base weight. So, I mean, Jacob Poucher with the silver lining there, which normally Jacob's not a silver lining guy. So we'll take that as a win, man. We'll take that as a win.
Yeah.
And then Stone Ape Adventures just said carve a spoon, man. Just carve a spoon.
Yeah. I would have to carve a spoon. And I will say, it's always a little bit confusing on me on we label it base weight and then carried weight, consumable. We have all these categories. I just know that when I put my pack on,
This is
I
how much it
feel
weighs.
awesome. You can call it whatever you want.
Yeah.
I call it heavy. My pack for the last trip, I think I said it was 35 and a half pounds. And that was for a 3-day, 2-night. Yeah, it's just heavy.
Yeah, my pack on the last trip I went on, we were all weighing our packs, and we had kids that had like 40-pound packs and 35-pound packs. This was the big one. This is the one I went to in Arkansas. This was my last trip. It was 3 trips ago. But they, the one kid's pack was like 45 pounds. Another kid's was 50, I think, and mine was 23. So
Yeah, you were that's not even ultralight, but compared to them,
well, I
every time
mean, that 13 pounds was all of my water and food and gas, and then whatever extra stuff they had me carry because we did like combined food things. So I was actually like at 11 pounds. So I was just barely not ultralight.
wow, that added a lot of weight, the water and food to you, 10 pounds?
Well, I carried about 3 liters of water.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so that
So
right there is 6 or 7 pounds.
yeah.
Forgive me if I've said this before, but I went to WKU and I went like a week early. They had this like freshman orientation thing. You stay on campus, learn where the buildings are, get to know people, blah, blah, blah. And you go to different activities during the day. And one of them was it's supposed to show you the different weights that your books and backpack and laptop and all that stuff you carry with you around campus is supposed to be. If I remember correctly, we tried on different weighted backpacks. So they had this set up in the gym. You'd see how much you weighed, and then your backpack was only supposed to weigh like 10% of your body weight or less, maybe 15%. I can't remember, but it was very, very light. So that's just walking around campus. Think about the backcountry. You're out there, you're climbing mountains, you're walking through rivers, you're going through hard terrain, and then you got a backpack that's 30% of your body weight.
Yeah.
I mean, that's impossible, bro.
No,
That'll
man.
injure you.
No. Absolutely no go for me. Okay, so we're about to read the most ridiculous take ever. Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
Folks, get ready to just blast whoever. I don't know who posted this, but here it is. Bear spray is anti-nature. You're on the bear's turf. Let them eat you.
Let them eat you.
Yeah, okay, so I've got to read you the comment that Adam Roy put on here. The editor,
Okay.
one of the editors from Backpacker. He says, "I don't really want to be eaten. I don't. There are some natural things I'm not in favor of. Smallpox, that would be an example. Anthrax is natural. You find that in the dirt. Being eaten by a bear would be another one for me personally."
I think I'm on Adam's side on this one.
I am too, man. I'm not. What? Just listen, dude. You had a good life. Look, you get to die in nature. Just go. What the heck?
I'm going to look. I'm really curious. What are the main chemicals in bear spray?
Oh my gosh,
because
have you looked in the comments?
no, what do we got?
Look at this. When I was in Nepal a few years ago, I met a porter carrying 100 kilograms, roughly 220 pounds.
No way. It must have been the mountain from Game of Thrones.
That
'Cause
dude is a beast.
yeah,
He also won't
where
be
does
able to
this kid
walk when he turns 35.
how do you
Um,
know it wasn't a woman?
man, well, I don't think the porters in Nepal are women.
Oh, it's only guys?
I think so. I think so.
Okay, well, he coulda carried me up that mountain because that's how much I weigh. That's
Oh yeah,
insane.
yeah. Here's this: Cheese Whiz and Doritos are 30% of my body weight. That's all things outdoors. Um,
Yeah,
I think Devin just came up with a perfect game here that we can start playing in the woods if we don't take bear spray. You ready?
yeah.
Backcountry roulette.
Yeah. You truly are.
And then last one here. I don't carry bear spray, but I won't be eaten either. That's our
Yeah.
friend Suga canadensis.
Dude, the other day, I was going through some of my backpacking stuff, and I found my bear spray. I hadn't taken it out probably in years. I don't think you can fly with it, so anywhere I'm going to grizzly country, I would have to buy it there anyway, and
Right.
around here, I haven't really needed it anywhere driving distance, so I probably hadn't taken it out in years, and then I looked at it, and it's got an expiration date, believe it or not. So I guess the chemicals in there that they break down, or maybe the pressure, how it's pressurized, maybe some of those parts break down. I'm not sure. So I went outside and said, I'm going to have to get rid of this bear spray, right? So what do you do with bear spray? You can't just throw it in the trash because then you're going to end up on Twitter on a video of, oh, they got this guy's trash, but then they're trying to compress the trash and then
And
something
it blew
explodes
up.
in there. Yeah, then these guys have capsaicin all over them that are taking out your trash. So I went out and sprayed it all out. I think it was before a trip, so we were out in the woods. Sprayed it all. Surprisingly, it didn't go very far. I don't know if mine was just it's expired and that's why it didn't go very far.
You don't have a lot of confidence in it now, do you?
Oh, now I'm thinking, I thought this was supposed to go like 30 feet, man. This is like, what's going on here? I am going to get eaten.
Oh, that's funny, man. We got some cool comments on here. Chris Wibbenhorstermeister said, I finally made a live. Good day, gents. AT girl, obviously she listened to the other day because she just said, I just wear a bear bell with laughing faces next to it. If you
Yeah,
want to
that's
hear me rant about bear bells, listen to our podcast from yesterday. And then polar bears are the animal that actually hunts people. That's true. Polar bears are actually the most dangerous animal in North America, I believe.
yeah, didn't we talk about this before? Polar bear, black bear, and grizzly bear are really like very, very either the same bear or similar or slightly varied over time.
Yeah.
So that
But a polar
territory,
bear, they say a polar bear would tear a grizzly bear to pieces.
I'd say they're bigger, right? Aren't they
Yeah, they're
substantially
huge.
bigger?
They're huge, man. Absolutely huge. And the only thing they're doing at all times is looking for food. So if you're moving, you're getting eaten.
Would you say 100 grizzly bears or one polar bear? You remember that stupid?
Oh, that 100 men versus one gorilla.
It says polar bears are generally larger than grizzlies and on average taller shoulder to shoulder and in length and can weigh significantly more. So bigger reach, bigger body size, bigger males out in the wild. It says it's because they need the extra insulation and strength for hunting seals on sea ice. That's Google's AI. So if you want to cite your sources, I don't know how reliable, but seems to support what you're saying. The grizzly bear would just be torn to shreds by the polar bear, but who knows?
Yeah. And All Things Outdoors just said, I carried steak potatoes in a frying pan in Wyoming. The other guys carried bear spray. I felt set up.
Symbiotic relationship, wasn't it?
Well, I think he wonders if maybe they didn't warn him in advance that he was going to die, and they gave him all the food.
And you got to walk between those guys with the bear spray.
You carry the big hunk of meat, we'll all have bear spray. Hippos are the biggest killer in Africa. Yeah, Sterling Slingerland. Hippos are the biggest killer in Africa. I actually watched a guy bow hunt a hippo. If you can
Bow hunt a hippo. Where do you even shoot them?
I mean, in their heart.
Just like a deer.
Just like a deer. Yeah, right behind the leg. Yeah.
Insane. Yeah,
Has nothing to do with what we're talking about, but yeah, you can do that.
talk about a big game hunter, man.
Yeah.
Hippo.
Oh, that dude too. Like, I wish I could remember his channel. He's on YouTube. That dude is just stacked. Like, he's all muscle. His bow is like 110 pounds. Like, not the bow weight, but the pull weight on this bow is
Yeah.
110 pounds. So
Yeah. Liver King.
he's a beast. Liver king. Did you see he got arrested?
Of course. That's why I said it. He got released.
He got arrested because he said he was going to go beat up Joe Rogan. I'm like, bro, you don't even want to go there, man. Good night.
Yeah.
Oh, this is great. Chris Wibbenhorster-Meister just said, to keep from being eaten, you don't have to be faster than the bear, but you do need to be faster than the slowest friend you bought backpacking.
Mm-hmm.
So
You bring the cookie with you. What do you got next there?
all right. This one's hilarious. I'm taking that rock. Come take it from my cold, dead hands. I think that's speaking out against people that are like, you can't take rocks from nature because they belong to nature.
Well, you're supposed to, on the Camino, take a rock from home and start with it, or you can pick one up at the beginning and then walk, 500 miles and then drop it at the end. Is that okay? Am I supposed to fly a rock from where I live in Kentucky and then drop
Some
it
people
off?
would say absolutely not, because you could be bringing, some kind of biome into the ecosystem, and
Well, I forgot, so I didn't pick up a rock till I got over there. So it didn't really apply to me, but that's what you're supposed to do.
yeah.
So I don't know. I don't have a strong stance on that. I think there's a lot of rocks and a lot of quarries, and we're constantly mining it to make granite countertops and all this stuff. Man.
I got a buddy. I got a buddy who he's been collecting rocks from all over the world. And when I told him I was climbing Kilimanjaro, he goes, is there any way you would grab me a rock while you're on top of Kilimanjaro? Like, absolutely. So I grabbed him a rock. I put it in my pocket. I gave it to him when I got back. He was so excited to have a rock from Mount Kilimanjaro. I don't think the mountain's going to fall down or animals are going to die because I took a rock.
Yeah, and not to get too philosophical, but if you look at the big picture of things, I mean, you can look at civilizations being wiped out and the earth constantly moving, plate tectonics, ice ages. In the grand scheme of things, this house that I'm sitting in, 500 years from now, there's going to be it's going to look like it never even happened. You're going to have no evidence for it. So that's like a small picture type thing, worrying about that rock. I got other bigger problems than taking that rock and put it in my pocket.
Yeah. And I mean, like, I will say, when we went to Pictured Rocks, when I went with Miyagi and those guys, the day that I saw all of Milosh's naked body, I was over picking up rocks. There's this area where you can pick. They have all these beautiful colored rocks coming down from this waterfall, and it's beautiful. And so I made sure I got one for each of my kids. They still have them. I try and do that whenever I go on a backpacking trip. I get a rock for each of my kids, and they collect them. I guess I'm evil, so we'll just go with that. The first time somebody's called me that, I guess, on here. All right, so the next one. This is great. This is great. Are you ready for this?
Oh yeah.
Cat holes are overrated. If a pack horse, llama, and donkey could relieve themselves directly on trail, I could go behind that tree over there without issue.
Boy, a lot of poop in this article, huh?
Yeah, this one's wrong. This one's great. I want to give you. Let's go on a little mind journey here together. I want you to imagine that you were hiking down the trail and you step in a pile of horse droppings. What do you do, Zoe? I'd probably grab a stick if there's one nearby, scrape it off, and continue on with my hike. He goes, yeah, me too. I'd probably just wipe my foot on a rock or something and keep going. Now I want you to imagine, instead of a pile of horse droppings, it's a fresh, steaming, fragrant pile of human crap. What do you do? What do you do now? I better hope there's maybe a creek nearby. I'm not trying to contaminate this creek, especially if there's campers drinking, but I need to clean my shoes as fast as humanly possible. Or, I might just bag up that shoe and try out your barefoot hiking for the rest of the hike. Horse poop, here's the thing. Horse poop is mostly grass and hay. It's just fibrous, and it's not that bad. Human poop is a little different. I'm not sure I want to step in that. I think it's worse. I agree. 100%.
There's like multiple things you can talk about on this. I would just start with,
let's just start with the Appalachian Trail.
Yeah, if you want to go the route of very highly used areas, of course, all that poop not being buried, even the poop being buried, we could beat a dead horse here because we talked about
Yeah.
this many times. But
Yeah.
concentrated areas with hikers coming through that have a lot of foot traffic are going to garner a lot of poop in that area too, and so they can kind of poison the watershed, which leads me to the next thing is the human poop. I would assume that we are kind of biologically programmed to think it's grosser, to avoid it, to try to be more sanitary. I think. I mean, I could be wrong on this because if you look at ancient cities, they were literally just dumping their excrement into the street because they didn't have anywhere to put it.
But
But
here's the difference with today and back then. I'm going to point this out. They didn't eat chemicals.
that's true.
That's the difference. That's where the kicker is in all this. It's not so much that it's waste, it's that our waste nowadays isn't natural anymore. We've got so many pharmaceuticals and chemicals from foods and things. I mean, I'm drinking a Coke Zero. This thing is full of chemicals.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, so I mean, human feces and animals are they're just completely different. Animals typically won't eat things that have chemicals in it. Like if you want a really fun experiment, pour Coca-Cola on the ground and pour Diet Coke or Coke Zero on the ground and see which one the ants go to. They will never go to the Diet Coke or the Coke Zero.
Is that true?
Yes, I've done it.
Wow. I'll have to try that. I didn't even know.
Because there's no they know that that's not something that should be in them, and so they don't go to it. Humans,
I would argue neither should be in you, but I think that you should have the freedom to be able to drink any of them.
that's
I
true.
guess the ants.
Well, sugar.
Ants.
Ants love sugar. Ants good.
Yeah, they
Sugar's
love
good for
sugar.
ants. Sugar's good for ants. So, but it's that whole thing of human feces is just different. It's not like animal feces.
I would assume that if you're talking about getting sick from human feces, the stuff that's going to grow in there, it's already, I don't know the best way to describe it. I'm not a biologist or whatever, but it's already passed through the human system. And so it's kind of already geared toward being able to make people sick. I think the animals, maybe that's geared, I'm just guessing here, but I would assume that their poop is, they can get more sick from theirs. We can get more sick from ours, but I don't have any scientific basis for that.
Well, here's my thing. If I'm hiking along the Appalachian Trail and it's just a practice that you just poop behind a tree, you realize what that trail's going to smell like?
Well,
Nobody's ever going to hike again. That trail would be scarce. Like nobody's hiking that trail after a while because it's sewage. You're just going to walk through and you're going to smell raw sewage all the time because everybody's poop is just sitting on top of the ground. And when there's over 1,000 people hiking a trail, and I'm not talking through hiking, I'm talking in a week. People day hike. Over 1,000 people hiking, they all just are like, I'm just going to poop out here. But I'm not going to bury it. Dude, I mean, have you been to Africa?
I've never been to Africa.
The slums of Africa are disgusting, dude. Jamaica's the same way. I've been to Jamaica, and the slums in Jamaica, dude, it's terrible. You can smell it. It's this awful smell. That's what our trails would smell like. So whoever said this needs to be punched in the head. So let's go to the next one.
Wait, can I say one more thing about
Yes, you can. Yes. Sorry. Oh, this just got posted. Stepping in Mountain House poop would be horrible.
That would be disgusting.
That would be
I
horrible.
think that can you read the original point? But I think it was tainted a little bit by the response. So can we just read the original point one more time?
Yeah, cat holes are overrated. If a pack horse, llama, and donkey could relieve themselves directly on trail, I could go behind that tree over there without issue.
Okay. So the last part of the point was I can go behind that tree over there. Doesn't mean that nobody's going to step in it. Doesn't mean that it's far enough off the trail. So I don't want you to use those against me here. I'm pointing that out ahead of time.
Mm-hmm.
But here's where I think it can be a little bit controversial. So
I'm ready for this.
In highly dense populated areas with a lot of foot traffic when it comes to going outdoors, those are the areas where you're going to get the watershed contaminated or all these byproducts that we've talked about people coming through there and pooping a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm a strong believer that if you are out where nobody else is, say for example, you have a 50-acre farm and you're out there and you just poop in the middle of the woods. That's a totally different world, and without digging a cat hole, by the way. Just poop, you use leaves to wipe, you go on about your farming business, doing whatever you're needing to do, whether it's a patch of woods or a field or whatever. That's a totally separate thing than pooping near a shelter on the Appalachian Trail. So I don't think cat holes are, I think they are highly needed in high foot traffic areas. But all the other places, if you're just in the middle of the woods, you probably should avoid being close to water if you're not going to dig a cat hole, even if you are going to dig a cat hole. But I know you said there's pollutants in your poop and all that. I don't
I
personally
also
think
think if
it's,
anybody else goes into your woods and they find one of your mounds of joy just sitting there, I don't think that's gonna be very fun for them.
no, but that's the thing though, is it's not a highly populated area. So I don't know what the chances are somebody stepping in your poop on your 50-acre farm while you're out there before an animal eats it or it rots or flies or whatever.
Right, right,
But
right.
the probability is so low. So I feel like sometimes we're talking about this very specific thing and it allows the argument of the cat holes to be very, very strong. In
Okay,
other situations, I don't think it's that big of a deal.
I'm gonna throw something else at you with this though too. What's one of the things that's in our food that's used so that our food doesn't go bad?
Oh, you talking about some kind of preservative?
Preservatives. Well, guess what happens when you poop and those preservatives are in your poop?
What?
Preserves the poop. Poop doesn't break down for humans like it does for animals.
Oh,
That's one
I
of the
don't know if
biggest
that's
problems.
true.
That is true. That is
We're
true.
gonna we're gonna have to give this a goog,
That
John.
is true. That is true.
Let's see. How
Human
long?
feces don't break down as quickly as animal feces.
Well, I'm not arguing that. I don't know if that's true or not, but I want to know how much. I doubt that we've ran any experiments on this, but how much longer does human poop take to um,
Did you
break
ask the
down?
Googs? Did you ask the
I,
Googs?
I don't even know how to word it. What's a good way? Somebody help me out in the
Here,
comments
I'm
here.
gonna type in one right now.
Okay, you give it a try because I think that the preservatives, I don't know how big of an effect that they're going to have on your poop, not breaking down over time. Because I would,
Generally, animal poop, particularly herbivores, decomposes faster than human or dog poop. Animal waste, especially from plant-eating animals, is often rich in nutrients and is easily broken down by bacteria and fungi. In contrast, dog and human poop can contain more complex compounds and potentially harmful bacteria, leading to slower decomposition.
well, where does it say preservatives in there?
Let's just say it's part of the chemical. It's part of the chemicals that are in there.
I'll give you that. It did say complex something. I don't know. You
Compounds,
read it pretty
complex
quick there.
compounds.
Complex compound. So I would assume preservatives would be under that umbrella. So I think you could be partially right, but I think what it's saying is
Or I
if you
could be 100% right.
no, because what if I had the same diet as whatever omnivore or herbivore that you're
Then it,
quoting?
it, it you'd probably never have to worry. It probably would break down faster.
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
But
So
I doubt that this person's doing that.
well, I'm not doing it, bro. I just had
The
coffee
heck,
and
no.
pancakes and get
You had Geta. That's new. Um,
uh-huh. I
oh,
love
here's
some get
so Devin just got on here and said, I stepped in someone else's poop in the sawtooths a couple years ago. Talk about gross.
it is disgusting. Okay, I've
It's
said my
nasty.
piece. What's the next
All
one?
right, the next one. I should be able to establish new campsites.
I should be able to establish new camp. Boy, it had to
That's the whole take. I
wouldn't it
should be
have
able to.
to
And look at this, Jeremiah. Look at this, Jeremiah. He's right.
he didn't even say what you're right about. He didn't even
I'm
you
right.
said so he we said
Okay,
so many things.
Devin, be more specific so he understands the real meaning behind what you just said.
Thank you, Devin. We need clarification here. Sean says I'm late. Well, Sean, we spent the first 30 minutes talking about poop somehow. So
So we've got that out of the way already. We're done with the poop talk. Maybe. I don't know. I haven't looked at the rest of the questions. We'll see what happens.
but wouldn't you
But
say at the
Devin, tell him I'm right, Devin. Because everybody knows Devin's like the smartest guy in the backcountry. So if he says I'm right, then I'm right.
he is a smart guy, highly
Yes.
educated in
Yes.
the field.
Okay,
So
I should be able to establish new campsites.
doesn't it depend on the circumstances? I mean, sometimes you should be able to establish new campsite.
And this is
What's
actually a
wrong?
comment from a guy named Steven Reinhold. I want to see if we can see who this is. Yeah, he's a guy who hiked. See, a month after Helene, my Appalachian community is looking for the future. Okay, so he's He's somebody who's actually written stuff for Backpacker Magazine. So that's interesting.
He thinks that he should be able to establish new campsites.
Yeah. Oh, look at this. Here we go. You ready for this?
I don't even see
Concede, Jeremiah.
it.
Concede, Jeremiah. Just say
I
it.
say
Just say John is right.
John is 20% right.
That is not even close to true. Oh my gosh. What is happening right now? I'm just putting this back up there again just so you can see it. Concede, Jeremiah. He's right. There you go. I changed the order, but it gets the point across. So thank you, Devin. Thank you for bringing common sense to this conversation. Thank you.
See, I like the latest comment. I prefer to use existing campsites too to minimize impact, and I do too.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that.
Sometimes those are taken, or you're in an area that's like a wilderness area, and literally the campsites don't exist. So if you want somewhere to put your fire, and there's some rocks around, you're gonna make your own fire ring, or not have a fire there, I guess. So.
Yeah, and honestly, man, we're kind of spoiled. We have the Red River Gorge here in Kentucky, and it's basically a free for all. You can go all over the place. I love that. I love that. But I know that that's not possible. I know if you do that in the Smokies, you'll just be kicked out and fined. So there are places where you can't do that. Backcountry exposure. Pitch your tent wherever you want, but follow LNT. Leave no trace, best you can, and don't build a new fire ring. Don't have a fire.
See, I build a new fire ring. I know he lives in Utah, and maybe there, and we've had different upbringings and different life experiences, so it's kind of shaped our worldviews. But here, I mean, there's limestone everywhere, there's creeks everywhere, there's potential new fire pit spots.
Which, Devin, you need to visit still. You've still not come out here and camped with us and hiked with us.
Yeah, I agree. Come on out. But yeah, you can even disassemble the fire ring if you want whenever you leave. I mean, I typically don't, because the spots I'm picking oftentimes I'm going to go back to. But
right.
I would say he's right. Follow the leave no trace as best as you can. Of course, it's going to be impossible to do leave no trace fully if you're building a new fire ring and you're establishing a new campsite and you're cutting trees around there, moving stuff. I mean, it's going to be a new campsite, but as long as it's not in an area that's, it's not designated for that, I think it's okay. That's the whole point. Like, we have a whole strip in eastern Kentucky that's the Daniel Boone National Forest. And John mentioned Red River Gorge, but that's only one small area. Yeah, one tiny gym in that whole Daniel Boone National Forest that takes up a big portion of the eastern part of the states there around the foothills of the Appalachian
Mountains.
Mountains.
The whole Clifty Wilderness area. You've got the areas down along the Cumberland River. There's a lot of great areas in the Daniel Boone.
Yeah, and actually nature, those new campsites, you can go back 2 years later and nature overtakes it so fast. You might put a fire ring out there and then you're like, I don't even know where I put it. Can't find it anymore. Moss is all grown over it and grass, and it's been washed away. So it depends. If you can use the established ones, use them. Why not?
I suck at hiking, which I watched this guy for some of his AT hike, I believe, this year. Said there's no need to establish new sites unless in a situation where you aren't able to continue a further site, minimal impact. I can agree with that. I can agree with that. I mean, if you don't need to do it, don't do it. But if you're in an area where, like you said, there are no campsites.
Yeah, that's kind of, you need to do it.
Oh, here's one. Doc Watson says, I build fire rings. There's an established site I return to, and the rangers keep breaking up the rings. Saw them doing it once. They didn't have an issue with the ring. They didn't want them as big. Interesting.
Yeah, and Devin's comment there, he's responding, which I like. This is exactly what you want, is conversation and differing opinions, so that people can make up their own mind and do things, hopefully, to make the outdoors even better. But he says building new fire rings and having a fire invites others to use that spot, and invites others who don't follow leave no trace to create much higher impact on areas. Now, my rebuttal to that is, we talked a little bit about on the last episode, gatekeeping when it comes to the backcountry. We're not for, like, I guess you're kind of advertising as like an influencer. Go see this spot, especially if you geotag it. But I think that nature's out there for everybody to enjoy, and I think there's a low probability that so many people are going out that it's just going to destroy a spot. But sometimes it happens, and if you don't use that spot for a while, like let's say the National Park Service marks it off or something, then nature revitalizes that spot pretty quick. I'm not advocating for you to destroy anything, but I think Devin, when it comes to other people using that spot, fine, they can use that spot if they want. I don't care. It just I think depends on the terrain, the situation, the wildlife, the rules,
Well, and I
the
would say
open
too, if you're like
space.
in areas like in Utah where he is at, where you don't have the same amount of trees and growth in some of those areas where you do in others, it can have a little
Mhm.
more of an impact. I think really a lot of times it depends on the area too.
Yeah.
Like in the Red River Gorge, like we keep talking about that, but that's because it's local to us. But in an area like that where it's high vegetation, constant stuff growing up, um, a campsite can get overgrown in a matter of like a year. Like if it doesn't get used for a year, it's gone. The campsite doesn't exist anymore.
It's like
And they
a
constantly close off campsites. The National Park Service constantly comes in and closes off campsites for 6 months to a year um, to let things grow back in, and then they'll open it back up again. So that happens quite often. I like what Jeremy here says. He says an inch of rain in the RRG, and there are no fire rings left. He's right about that. He's right about that.
So, is there anything non-fire related for the campsite? Because it seems like every kind of like friction point that we've talked about or commented back and forth with people so far live, it's been mostly fire related and poop related, which is two things we brought up. But I'm wondering, are there any other friction points that kind of that pushes the opinion when it comes to making a campsite or something like that, or is it basically only the fire and leave no trace? I would assume. I'd love to hear some.
I think the fire pit is probably the biggest thing. And looking at everybody's comments, it keeps coming back to that. You know?
I get it. You're moving rocks, and rocks are the most permanent thing out there. That's what this house is made of wood. That's why I said there'd be nothing left of it soon.
Yeah.
So if it was made of stone, like Stonehenge, for example, could be there for thousands of years. But
Yeah. Yeah.
I get it. The
And
rocks are kind of permanent,
And I
kind
don't
of.
think we're gonna be able to get to all of the comments just because there are a lot of comments on this one. So we had a
Yeah.
hot topic on this one, but I like this comment from Suga Canadensis, which I can't help but I love to say that name. I've seen a campsite in Forbes State Forest that has not been used for at least 3 years, and it's amazing how quickly the forest reclaimed its own. Um, Again, that's a forested area, so it's a little different. And Devin brings up a good point here too. He says in much of the desert areas, fires aren't allowed.
Yeah, he's kinda living in a different world than we are out
Yeah,
there. We're kinda in the rainforest area, and he's
yeah.
kinda in the desert, so
It,
to
There's another thing though that can affect too a little bit, and that's people cutting down trees to clear a campsite. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
that
yeah, you like
that can have an effect on it. Also, the way you hammock. I've got a young man I've been teaching how to hammock camp, and he bought his first real hammock. Did he buy a Dutchware gear or did he buy a hammock gear? I can't remember. But he bought an actual backpacking hammock. Just bought, and he asked me, he said, "Could I just use rope to put around the tree?" And I really encourage him not to do that, because rope and those kind of materials will like actually scar trees.
mhm.
So I instructed him to get straps because they leave minimal damage to trees. So there are ways that you can cause damage outside of just fires, but it
Yeah,
almost always comes back to trees and a lot of it. And some of it too is, when you clear out an area that may have been a feeding area for animals or, you don't know.
yeah, that's what I suck at hiking, that's what, they're saying is you gotta consider the animals, the wildlife as well. You're attracting more in with that human food or human waste, for example, they'll eat that. And Devin says location can change a lot of things. Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
Yep. All right. Well, let's move on to our next one. Okay. Are you ready?
Let's do it.
Okay, this is the NSFW version of the show right now.
Okay.
N-
Not safe for work, by the way, for those that are not familiar here. So put your
normalize, here we go. Normalize toplessness for women in all wilderness areas. After a long day of backpacking, I hate wearing a sweaty, smelly sports bra in a busy backcountry area while my husband gets to lay out by an alpine lake in the sun with no shirt on.
How am I supposed to normal? First of all, if I wanted to be an activist, how do I even normal? Do I just walk up to women on trail and say, "Just so you know, I'm comfortable if you want to take your shirt off to normalize women being out here and, tops off." I'm sure my wife would love me being an activist for this. this situation.
My
She
wife
would,
would tell me I can't go backpacking anymore.
yeah.
It's like,
So I'm not even sure how to endorse this one. I mean, I we did just miss the hike naked day. It popped up on my Facebook, and
oh
it's like,
darn,
hey,
I'm
just
so
a heads
upset
up.
about that one.
I know. And it seems to be mostly men that enjoyed the hike naked day. So
Okay, here we go. They're coming. Um, Suga canadensis. I won't complain. Um, all things outdoors. I don't want to see either one. Embrace the suck. I'll be honest, you'll never see me topless anywhere. Not even in a pool, I don't think. I don't want to put anybody through that kind of torture, visual torture. So you'll never see my shirt off. Like, that just won't happen. So
I
you're
am
safe. Everybody is safe.
I'm super fair skinned, you know me, and I've gotten one good sunburn so far on my back this summer. We
Yeah.
went to the lake and worked outside and stuff. I had no shirt on. And then the next trip to the lake, I had to wear a shirt. One, because I had the sunburn, and two, bro, the fish will come up. And if you have a freckle, a skin tag, a mole, anything that is like a different color on your, which I'm covered in freckles,
They'll
you can tell
nibble.
just looking at my face. Yeah, they just come up there. And I don't know, it's small fish, but they're trying to get you. They'll even get the hair on your legs, and it hurts too. They don't have big sharp teeth, but you have something just out of nowhere. You're trying to enjoy the water. So I'll even sometimes wear a shirt while swimming now. You got to.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Doc Watson says, I won't complain either, and I promise to keep my distance and not take pictures.
Yeah.
He basically said, he goes basically, like a train wreck, I can't look away.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think you should be able to do whatever you want out there, but also if you're going to pass families with children, you probably you don't want people walking around naked, and that's a little bit
No.
indecent.
I mean,
So
I don't want that anywhere. Like, go buy some land and just hang out naked in your property. It's yours then. Have fun. Is that a fire? No, Jeremiah is shirtless.
yeah.
This is great. This is the best one. Devin says, I take my shirt off and look like I'm still wearing a shirt.
Yeah, white t-shirt.
That's awesome.
Why
And then
is
Sean says, some people just should not be naked in public.
That's true. Why is it that your human sweat, the way the body works is you excrete water, and then the water evaporates off your skin and helps take some of that energy away, which allows you to cool down. You release some of that heat.
Yeah.
So if you keep your shirt on and the water evaporates off the shirt instead of your skin, it's actually highly more effective at keeping you cool. Why is it that we like to take, and I do too. You get hot and you're like, oh, I got to get this shirt off. I don't want it sweaty sticking to me. Is that all it is? It's just like, even though it's more effective to keep it on to get cooler faster, you want to take it off just because you're like, oh, this is a little bit uncomfortable with it sticking to me.
I don't know. I usually bring an extra shirt that I wear when I get to camp.
Oh yeah, I do too.
Something so that if I've been sweating really bad, I can put that shirt on and it actually cools you down immediately. It's amazing how just putting on a different shirt cools you down.
Yeah, sometimes I'll put it on though and sweat through it. And then you're like, well, what am I doing with my life? I took off my sweaty
Well,
shirt.
you do it after the chores are done. You do it like,
Okay.
then you just sit down and chill for the rest of the night. But yeah. I get what you're saying. Well, that was our last hot take on this one. But I want to invite everybody, leave a comment, whether it's on Spotify or YouTube or wherever you're listening to this. Tell us what your hot takes are. I would love to do an episode in the future where we use user comment hot takes and share those with you guys and get your opinions on those. So leave those comments, please. We would love to hear from them. Jeremiah, what do we got coming up on the show in the future?
Right now, I haven't put a date or anything yet, but we've talked a little bit about these backpacker.com articles, and Adam, we mentioned him on here for this article, and I think that pretty soon he's going to be coming on the show, so we'll get a firsthand view of what it looks like to talk to him and all the experiences he's had. For those that don't know, editor in chief there for Backpacker, and I think he was with Outside Magazine as well before. So we'll unpack all that on the show and hear about all those adventures. And I think also a little breakfast for dinner coming up.
Yeah, that's right. Jeremiah, you and the wife and the kid are coming over, and we're going to have some food together. Also, we mentioned, I think, on the show the other day that I'm going to be buying a new vehicle. Ended up getting a 2015 Tahoe, which was not expected. There were a lot of other things I wanted, but that's what we ended up with. So now I've got this massive tank of a vehicle now. So watch out other cars because I can run you over now. So
2015, only 10 years old.
Yeah, only 10 years old. I try to keep it consistent. I always want a car that has had a decade of experience. I like experienced vehicles.
I had a 97 Ranger and then drove it for 10 years. Wish I still had it.
Oh man, my car, I drove it for 10 years. So, he's here. We have to put this on here because he just showed up. It's my goldfish drown, and he adds in, as he always does, I pooped under Skirka's tent. And I think Jeremiah, that's the best way to end the show we possibly could. So for myself and Jeremiah, we will catch you guys on the next one. We'll see you.